right, I want everyone to listen up and hear this story because this really is frightening. And as I said a couple of minutes ago, scammers are getting more and more savvy. And we've asked our coworker, Kelly, to come in. Kelly's our graphic designer. Anything that you see in print, graphics on our social media, any kind of Carmen's Crew thing, Carmen's Favorite Things, Friday free-for-alls, anything for Candace Jr., Kelly is the one. She makes our brand come to life in print and does such a great job. We love our Kelly. Love Kelly. So Kelly, a couple things that people need to know before we get into this story. You and Jason, your husband Jason, y'all just moved. So keep that in mind because that's a big piece of why I believe you were caught off guard because that part was true. And then also they had some of your personal information, your social security number and things like that.
Oh, my word.
So take us back to, what's today? Thursday. Take us back to Tuesday afternoon. You're home in the afternoon.
Yep.
What happened?
So, I just felt like very productive. It was one of the most productive days of this year, and it just felt like I was on cloud nine. And I had been doing some work from home and getting a pot of spaghetti ready for dinner, and my phone rings, and I was expecting some calls. It was a area code that I would like answer, and so I picked it up, and he says, is this Kelly Hunter? And I said yes, and then he said, is this your date of birth? Yeah. Who is this? And he said, this is Deputy so and so from the Sheriff's Department. And he said, is this the last four of your social? Yeah. So I'm really tuned in. And he says, okay, Kelly, you were summoned to jury duty today, and you didn't come. Is there a reason why you didn't come? And I said, well, I didn't know I was summoned to jury duty. And he said, well, I have proof that you signed a document that you would be here. It was certified mail. And I said, well, I did not sign anything that I would come to jury duty. I had no idea. And he said, okay, well, it was sent to this address. And I said, well, don't live at that address anymore. And I said, I don't think anybody lives there right now, so I don't know who would have signed for it. And he said, well, okay, that it looks like you've been like victim of some fraud. Somebody forged your signature. And we can clear this up, but he said, you are at this point in contempt of court and failure to appear. So there is a warrant out for your arrest.
Mm-hmm.
My stomach drops. I'm like,
sure.
I've never done anything wrong in my life. And I mean, I've done things wrong,
Yes,
but not to break the law,
that
right?
level, yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And in my head, I'm not even thinking of my family. I'm thinking, I don't want to be stuck in one of the back of those gross police cars.
And that's going to get your attention. I mean, if someone
Oh,
says, and if
yes,
they're
it
acting
will.
like a deputy,
Right.
and they're saying, okay, there's a warrant out for your arrest. And again, keep in mind, she just moved, so
Right.
it's totally
Because
plausible.
enough of it is true. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, they
Yes.
will issue a bench warrant if you
Yeah.
have not shown up for
Sure.
jury duty.
Yeah.
And I
And
knew
they
that.
had
I
your,
knew
they
it was
had
serious.
information
Yeah.
that,
Yes.
that normally is one of those checks that we say don't give out that information.
But they
Yes.
had,
Had
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, how do I know that this is true? He said, you can reverse search this phone number that I'm calling you from. I'm calling you from the sheriff's office. And this is my badge number and this is my name. I do those things. And it all checks out.
She goes, she's on her laptop and
Yeah.
she goes and she checks the badge number and the officer and it checked out.
While you're on the
As
phone.
well
While
as the
you're
phone
Mhm.
number that came into her phone was the sheriff's office's
Oh my word.
number.
And he said, and also the sheriff, we will never ask you for personal information over the phone. He was like clear to say that. And I said, okay, well, I'm still pretty calm at this point, like a little alert. And he said, we're going to need to take care of this because you have a warrant out. And so you're going to be arrested. I'm like, okay. He said, you need to come to the sheriff's office now and take care of this. All right. Well, let me get some things together. He's like, no, this is very time sensitive. You need to come down to the sheriff's office now. And he said, because your failure to appear
Mm-hmm.
in contempt of court, there's a $4,000 bond that you must pay when you walk in the sheriff's office, or you'll immediately be arrested and put in jail. Okay, so now I start like tearing up
Panicking, yeah.
and panicking, $4,000, and same time I'm like making the spaghetti sauce. I start to like tear up, and he said, "Ma'am, it's gonna be okay. Truly, if you did not sign for this, we can straighten this out. You just need to come down." I was like, "You don't understand. I just put cumin in the spaghetti sauce, and so my kids are gonna come home. Their mom's in jail. The spaghetti sauce tastes like Mexican food." I don't know how he wasn't laughing. He was just very stern officer, and I was just like, I respected the authority I was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I know in my head to check the boxes of, don't ever give out personal information over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever meet somebody somewhere that you don't know.
Right.
Well, he knew my information, and he's asking me to meet him at like the safest place I can possibly think of, right?
Mhm.
So I'm ready to get in my car, and I have my toddler. "Hey buddy, put your jacket on, get your shoes, we gotta go take care of this." And I text my friend Rachel down the street, and I said, "Are you home?" Because I'm thinking maybe I can drop him off. Maybe she just happens to have $4,000. And I said, and she's like, "I'm not home." I said, "Well, do you have $4,000? She said, $40? And I was, "No, 4,000. And she's like, "What's going on? Answer my call." And so I put him on mute for a second. And I said, "I'm on the phone with the sheriff's office. I have a warrant out for failure to appear and not showing up for jury duty." She said, "Hang up right now and call 911. I've seen this in an article or on the news, and it's a fraud." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yes." So I click back over. He's like, "Ma'am, you can't hang up the phone with me. You need to stay on the phone until you get to the sheriff's office."
He wanted Kelly to stay on the phone
Right.
all the
the
way
way.
down to the sheriff's office,
Mm.
not hang up.
Interesting.
Right.
And I said, "Sir, I am not 100% comfortable with this conversation, and so I'm going to call 911 to make sure this is true." He clicks, immediately hangs up.
Yeah.
And I called 911 and I told them, and they said, "Well, it's a fraud. It's going around." And they said, "One, the sheriff's office is never going to call you and warn you that they're going to arrest you. They'll just come arrest you."
Right. Just show up.
I
Right.
said, "Oh, I don't like that."
Yeah.
But and she said, if you get another call from that, we'll block the number, but if you get any more calls, just say that you need to press charges. But I think like it just,
And the thing, so Kelly calls me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm headed home. She calls me and she's in tears. She's like, "You're not gonna believe what just happened to me." So she's walking through the whole thing, and I'm like, "Kelly, you're lying. Kelly, this is not true. I'm looking at my watch. It's like 4:42. I'm thinking, okay, I'm still thinking she's being arrested.
Right.
I'm thinking she needs $4,000. I'm like, okay, let me
Can I make it to
let
the
me
bank
can I make it
before
to
they
the
close the
bank and then
doors?
let me
Right.
go bail out my graphic designer from
Other duties as
yes.
assigned.
But I think what makes this so frightening, and the reason we wanted to bring it to air, is number one, they've got some kind of list that shows who just moved. So it's completely plausible
Right.
that she could have missed the summons for jury duty because it went to her former address. Again, he knew her social security number. And here's the biggest one, y'all. He was asking her to come to the sheriff's office. Now you just play this out. I can see Kelly getting in her car, driving down to the sheriff's office, and then them going, seeing her car, him asking, "What kind of car do you have? I'm going to be on the lookout for you." Who knows what they would have done to her. And he said, and Kelly was saying on the phone the other day, he stayed so calm. He sounded like he had the delivery of an officer.
Right.
He had a real badge number. So I want us to go to a song or so, come back and talk about just some ways to protect yourself. But
Yeah.
more than anything, I want y'all to know that this is happening
Not-
because
not
praise
to-
God, Kelly called Rachel
Right.
and was able to, for her to,
Well,
say,
you
"Hey."
did a lot of things right, Kelly.
Yeah,